And good afternoon and welcome everyone for our rally for food workers and our campaign to unionise Samworth Brothers. Thank you so much for everyone being here in the Highfields Community Centre, and it's so good to see so many friends, and it's so good to meet some new friends. Before I start our rally, I want to give you a clue. I know that some of you have signed our petition outside to unionise Samworth. Well, could you please just do one more thing? Share our petition. Share it online. If you haven't signed it, you can sign it outside. If you ain't signed it yet and you want to sign it online, please. But please share our petition. It's on www.unionisesamworth.co.uk, and please share this rally using the hashtag Unionise Samworth Brothers. Thank you very much. My name is Dougie Johnston, and I am the Regional 3 President of the Bakers Food and Allied Workers Union, and I'm also a proud member and proud campaigner as part of this campaign to unionise Samworth Brothers. And it's my proud honour to actually introduce some great speakers tonight, some great speakers this afternoon, and I'm sure you're going to be inspired by each and every one of them to go out there and help us unionise the unionised. It always seems funny to me because when I travel around this country trying to unionise factories, often we are greeted at the gates by management. They often come out to see what we've done, and it's almost as if they're always reading from the same script. It's always funny because they always seem to say, but we're a good employer, but we treat our workers right. We listen to our workers. Always the same thing. But it always seems funny to me that when we speak to workers, they tell us a different story. It's a short story that trade unionists have heard time and time again. It's a sad story. So I'm going to ask you, please sign this petition. Unionise the unionised. Help us give workers a voice. And now I'm going to introduce the first of our speakers who can speak firsthand about his treatment in Samworth Brothers. I'm going to introduce you to a guy I think is a hero. I think he's a guy who really stands up for what working class solidarity can do. His name is Kumaran. Kumaran Bose, would you like to take some?
Thanks for giving me an opportunity to speak here to each and every one of you. And the Bakers Union, we are fighting standing there with the Baker Union. I would say, why do we need a union? Because my experience and the people working there, union, every company needs a union like Samworth Brothers, big company, and they have their own HR, their own solicitors and everything. When you have a problem, where are you going to go? As a single worker, we can't face a big company like that. What we need to do is organize ourselves like Samworth Brothers company, like Bakers Union. We can fight better. We can fight better. Without union as an individual, we are very vulnerable. With my experience, I'm telling you, we are very, very vulnerable without union. And what happens is big companies like that, they want you to come and work on a Christmas day when they're enjoying their wine, they're enjoying themselves, and you will be working and they'll be enjoying. I'm saying all the big companies, they make a contract, new contracts like that, and 0-hour contract, different contracts. So the people working there, they have problems as well. They're discussing I'm the farmer worker. I don't know exactly what they are discussing with me. And Samworth Brothers is a big company, and I've seen it. And they have a big structure. They have a human resource. They have their own solicitors. They have everything. When as a worker, when you walk into the room, you don't know nothing. When you have a union, you can speak to your rep. You can go to the union office, like Baker's Union. I'm telling you, it's a fighting union. I'm standing here when I was in trouble. That's the one. With my union was a fighting union. It helped me a lot to stand here. And I want to thank each and every one. Like Jeremy, I seen him a couple of times. I didn't see him personally, but he helped me in this way, and the Labour Party as well. But and if you want the collective bargaining, if wages, any issues, you can't do it on yourself. You need to have a collective bargaining. The managers know what to say, what not to say. If you have a union, they can negotiate properly for you and get a good wages for you. And if you usually have a problem in the workplace, what is going to do? He does nothing. He's vulnerable. They try to know what to ask in the questions, what answers if they need from him, they get him, and then that's it. But if you have a union reps can help you better. Samworth Brothers should be unionized. A big company like that, an individual worker can't face them. They say we can join the union. Joining the union is not enough. It should be unionized. Each and every worker should have their own rights. If they don't have rights, they're scared for losing their job. If I speak up, oh, I'll lose my job. That's why the union is there. They're not scared of them. They're not scared of the bosses. They can sit down there and negotiate properly with the company, with the bosses, and then get a good deal for you. Yeah, good workplace, health and safety, everything will be on place when you have a union. You got a voice in your workplace. When you have a problem, you have a voice. When you think everything is okay, I will have never problem. When you have a problem, you realize nobody is there behind you, and you don't have nobody. And then when you realize I need a union now, that will be too late. So companies like Samworth Brothers, we need to be unionized. Just joining the union is not enough. It should be unionized. The union workers' rights should be put on place. For example, you have a bank holiday. Those days we get paid for bank holidays. Nowadays you don't get paid for bank holidays because it's included in your contract. You have to come. Is all the bosses come there to work? No, they're enjoying their holiday. They're on the beach side, but you have to work because it says on your contract. You have to come on a Christmas day. You have to come on the Christmas day. It says it's your contract, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you have to work 4 days. It comes on your contract day, so you have to come to work. But when the union is there, you can raise the questions. They can negotiate with them better without an individual person. As a union, it can be done properly. So that's why I'm asking each and every one in the company and outside to help the people inside to unionize Samworth Brothers with bakers. Then their rights will be much better for the workers. And you can see a lot of people think we are okay without union, including me. Those days I thought union is okay, I don't want it. When I have a problem, then I realized union, what they can do, what they can't do. So it will be too late. Set me as an example. Join the union is not enough. We need to unionize. Big companies must be unionized, and your reps should be sitting inside the factory. And whenever you need help, you can go. They should have an office, and you can discuss with them properly. They have HR, they have solicitors, they have everything. As my personal experience, they will know what to ask, how to negotiate with you. They know everything. They've been trained. They've seen thousands of cases, hundreds of cases. But you are the only person. That's your first case. So how are you going to negotiate properly? How are you going to give your statements properly? But unless your union rep is there. So that's why we want them to unionize. The company need to be unionized. The Samworth Brothers should be unionized. Thanks for giving me an opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Sir, can I ask you one question?
Sorry, we're doing questions at the end, but please do.
Regarding, right?
We'll be doing questions at the end, and because we're not just here to hear these fine speakers talk. We're going to listen to you, because as any trade unionist knows, listening is the great part of our job. Yeah, thank you. Right. Thank you. What can I say about our next speaker? Yeah. What can I say? Sarah Woolley is the first woman to be the General Secretary of the Bakers, Food and Allied Workers Union. Sarah Woolley has been a trade unionist since she was 16 years of age, fighting for workers. So I think you'll give a great Leicester round of applause. Introduction to Sarah Woolley.
Thanks for that, Dougie. And after the conference last week, I wasn't sure whether I'd be stood up here with a tear in my eye, because you do often move me with the words that you say. It's fantastic to see so many of you here today. And I'm not going to speak for too long because there's lots of people, and as we've said, we want to hear from you as well. But I was looking at the Samworth Brothers website earlier this morning, and a few things stuck out at me. They talk about themselves being a family business. They talk about themselves as being proud of their strong values. But what they don't talk about is part of those values being recognising a trade union. Samworth Brothers don't determine whether you and your colleagues can join a trade union. You do that. That is down to you. That is your right. That is your choice. If you want better terms and conditions, if you want stand together and demand it. And the Bakers, Food and Allied Workers Union will always support you in doing that. We've got a very proud tradition of punching well above our weight for such a small trade union. And I'm incredibly proud to be the General Secretary of such a trade union. 175 years old we are this year, and we've been doing that since day one. We've currently got some key demands. £15 an hour for all workers, regardless of age. Remove and 100% sick pay from day one for workers. We will support you in fighting for those in your workplaces too, because it's a right everybody should have, because you deserve better. You are key workers who have fed the nation through the pandemic, and you deserve better than low pay and promises of, another quote from the website, incredible perks, that are in reality are no more than what any employer should give as a bare minimum. Pensions, holidays. You've got a right to those. You deserve better than the minimum. So go away from today and talk to your colleagues. I know it's scary. I know you're worried about what will happen to you when you go back into the workplace and start talking about let's unionise. But you know what? If workers at Wetherspoons and McDonald's who impact trade unions can unionise and organise, then you can do that too, because Samworth Brothers are nowhere near as big as they are, as much as they might like to think that they are. So go away today. You've made the first step by coming here today. You know, the workers that are all here, you're incredibly brave, and we'll support you back in your workplaces. You've got to go away and organise, and you've got to do some of it yourselves. And we'll be there with you every step of the way, but we'll do it together. Solidarity.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sarah. And our next speaker will be Sital Singh Gill, of the Indian Workers Association. If I say something about the Indian Workers Association, they are proud campaigners. You know, on a personal note, if I remember when we had the EL come to our city, it was the Indian Workers Association who were one of the main leaders in fighting against that. They have been campaigning for the rights of Indian migrants for years. And I think one thing I can say is that I always believe in what the famous Irish socialist James Connolly said, The socialist of another country is my friend. The capitalist of my own country is my enemy. Mr. Singh.
Thanks, sir. Thanks for inviting me to speak on behalf of the Indian Worker Association, Great Britain. I Honorable Member Jeremy Corbyn, Member Parliament, and former leader of the party, and very grateful to Kumaran Bose, and we discuss all the things, what's happening in this Samworth Brothers, and I am very grateful to George Atbal, Regional Secretary of the BFAW Union, and very grateful to our in the audience, our Member Parliament, Leicester East, Claudia Webb. We are also working very hard, and we are working as a team for the betterment for the working class. Our member, leading member of the Leicester Shire, Ross Mellon, is a former leader of the Leicester City Council, and we and many of our other councillors are sitting here, and I'm very grateful to all of you. You are joining this just fight for justice, fight for the basic fundamental rights of the Samworth brother worker, and we are Indian Worker Association fully supporting the Baker Food Allied Workers Union and the Peace and Justice Project in the campaign for trade union recognition at Samworth. Currently, Samworth do not recognize a trade union, do not pay a worker a fair living wage, and have recently made a change to the pension scheme, meaning worker will lose out. And IWA is always actively participating in supporting the British labour movement, and we are part and parcel of the British working class. We encourage membership of the trade union. Where there are no union, we have helped workers to form their own union. Indian Worker Association established in 1938, and they did a active role for the betterment for the working class for the whole country. And Baker Food and Allied Workers Union are a very experienced trade union. We have joined the campaign for basic fundamental rights of the worker of Samworth Brothers. We want Samworth Brothers to meet this demand and recognize their union. Otherwise, it could be an industrial action, it could be a demonstration, or any other action, whatever possible in our democratic society. Samworth Brothers worker must receive fair living wage and cannot accept the recent changes to their pension scheme. IWA GB has joined this fight and has organized a public meeting on 17th July. And in this meeting, we are contacting in the Leicestershire all Gurdwara, Sikh temple, all Hindu temple, all mosque, all trade union, all community book to form a broader alliance for support of this campaign. On 17th July, that's meeting at the main hall, Kohinoor radio station, 97.8. Kohinoor radio station is a popular radio station in the Leicester community, and that meeting will be broadcast live on 97.3 FM is also broadcast on the internet to all over the world. And this meeting and other thing until we are supporting the Baker Food and Allied Workers Union to contact everyone to sign this petition or any other action. In the meantime, union launch, we will fully participate. And today, many of our members went to London and they sent an apology and they could not come. But in the future, in that meeting, I am inviting you, all of our brothers, sisters are sitting here. Please join us and together if we together we build this strong working class movement. And it's our history. You can, if you read the history, you find the history. Indian Worker Association play a significant role for the working class, imperial typewriter, and various other. We play a very good role for the working class. And at the end, I'm really thanks, Chair, and thanks all of my brother, sister. You are joining this struggle, and definitely, if we together continue this campaign, we must win. Jack, I think that's
Right, our next speaker. I don't know how to say anything nice about the next speaker. No. Gary O'Donnell he's one of our Leicester Labour councillors for Western Ward, and Gary has always been a campaigner for as long as I've known him, and I've known him for several years now. You know, when it comes to protesting against fascists turning up in our city, Gary is there. When it comes to speaking up for workers' rights, Gary is there. So let's give an all right welcome to Gary O'Donnell.
I don't know if you built me up or not, I'm not sure. Well, I'd say I'm triple proud, if you like, to be here today speaking on three levels. One, I'm a Highfields lad, born and bred, just across the road, over the other side of Melbourne Road, and most of my early political education was in this building with the minor support group of 1984-85, the Great Strike. I know I was only about 6. And that built into me the principles of which I've lived by for the rest of my adult life. I was 17 when the miners' strike started, and since that point, the fight for workers' right, recognition, and fairness has been at the core of my values, and that's why I'm here today. So, secondly, I'm very proud as well to be here today because I'm sharing a platform with a person politically who inspired me to become a Labour councillor, and that's Jeremy Corbyn. Who gave us all hope, and we are trying to build for a better future for everybody. And I think we should never ever forget that, and we should always be fighting for that. And those things, the history and why you're doing things are important, but the most important thing is why we do something. And the most important thing we can do is build our labour movement. That's get people into a trade union, get collective bargaining, and make sure that workers get their fair share. That's all we ever ask for, a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. And that's why I'm here today supporting this campaign. I've been a councillor now for 3 years, and you know, it has had its challenges. There's other councillors in here today who probably feel quite similar to what I do on that. And when I go to meetings now, it's becoming more and more apparent that Leicester, I knew this anyway, but it's now being accepted, that Leicester is a low-paid city with a high rent. So the cost of living squeeze is having a massive effect on the citizens of this city. I cover a ward, Western Ward, which has two distinct parts. It has Western Part, which is an economically reasonably robust, but still has its issues, and New Parks, which is one of the most economically deprived parts of the city. And I see now, I know in principle we don't want food banks, but we're seeing 400 families a week accessing the food banks in my ward. And that's a disgrace on this country. But it's also the employers in the city not paying people enough. And we see that every day. We see some of it in its extremes in the textile industry, but we do see it in places like Samworth Brothers, which is the biggest private employer in Leicester and Leicestershire, isn't it? I'm right on that. I did check it on the internet, but you never know. That Wikipedia can be wrong. And so every day we have to fight to make sure that people get their wages that they're entitled to. And also we have to do that by organising, but also we have to support those who are victimised by employers, because that's what happened. Because before I became a councillor, and many years, I was a union organiser myself, and I saw what could happen to people when we tried to organise. How people were victimised, how people were sacked, how we had to support them, how we had to fight to get their jobs back. But all the time, it's so important, because we see, I've known George for too long, you'd probably say. I've known George for 20 years when he was at Brooks in Wigston, and all the workplaces I've been to, the Bakers Union have organised and have collective bargaining, have better terms and conditions than Samworth Brothers. Whether that's Brooks's, whether that's Gunston's Bakeries, whether it's a bakeries in Sheffield, whether it's a food processing down in Northampton, or the food processing in Lincolnshire. All of those workplaces have better terms and conditions. And there's one reason for that, and one reason only: union organisation. And that's why it's so important to us. So, I could, you know, what we need to do though, and there's some councillors here today, and we'll be talking with other councillors, is we're going to take a resolution, Labour Group, and therefore the council supports this campaign. I think that's crucial. We're working with the campaign and the Bakers Union to draft the resolution is strong, and make sure that we tie the council to actually doing something. Because I have, you know, in my naivety, took resolutions and got them passed, and then they just sit there doing nothing. And that's, you know, it's frustrating for me, but it's wrong, isn't it? Because if we're going to do something, we need to do something. So the other thing is for yourselves as well, to apply pressure on your councillors to say there's a resolution going, because it's pointless if we don't. And also, I'll be advocating that when the next mass leafleting of Samworth factories in Leicester happens, that councillors are on that line. As long as it's not the early shift. It's not great in the mornings. And so that's what we're going to be doing. And I've got the last bit. And so from now on, we're going to be fighting. We'll be taking a resolution. I know Ross will be supportive. Ross is here today. Hopefully, Ruma, you'll be with us on this. Yes. And Jackie, there's 4 of us here today, and we'll all be putting our name to this resolution. We'll all be trying to get this through so that we can be out there supporting this campaign, making sure it's happening, because I know that Samworth Brothers gives quite a lot of donations. And there'll be some opposition to us doing this, because we don't want to upset one of the contributors to giving children food. But I cannot accept that when members of Samworth staff access and use our food banks. That's just not an acceptable thing. So, as the saying goes, You have to break some eggs to make an omelette. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to fight, and we're going to take this into the council, and we're going to make sure that the council seriously takes on board this campaign. We're going to sign up to it, and I pledge that whatever I can do, I'll try and make this go forward. So thanks for listening, and thank you for indulging me. And I'll see you all in the autumn when we're starting to get that membership flying in. All right. Then.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that great support there, Gary. You know, and just before I introduce our final speaker, yeah, I've got to remind you that off to the side we're going to have, it's going to be open, a little room where you can get drinks and refreshments, but there will also be there from the Bakers Union, from Thompson's, from the Peace and Justice Project, who are going to be there. Now, oh, something's falling down again. No, and let me put it this way, yeah, a lot of people have given up their time, you know, and it don't cost anything to listen, yeah, and we've got some great people to speak to, and if your English skills are not good, yeah, we have, if Nikolai could stand up for a second, we have Nikolai Makari, who is a Moldovan speaker. He speaks both Russian and Romanian. He will speak to you. We've got Adriana Kara. If you could stand up, please, Adriana. She's a Polish speaker. Yeah. Both of these people have given up their time today because they believe in this campaign. And I think thank you for that. Also, if I could say thank you very much to Artin for the help from the Peace and Justice Project, who have been real driving force behind this. And Artin, you've been a godsend. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You know, we also have people who speak several South Asian languages. We have George Atwell, who's our regional officer, who speaks Punjabi and Hindi. You speak Hindi? Yeah, speak Hindi, yeah. Just checking, you know. But a giant in the food industry, in unionising the food industry. And to be honest, people don't know how hard this man works. How hard he works. He puts his all into helping workers. People, he deserves a big round of applause. Okay, our final speaker. Do you know what? How does one introduce Jeremy Corbyn? How does one, you know? But there's something that always stands out, Jeremy, is that here was a man, who was arrested for protesting apartheid, and I think that gives him a plus on my books, you know. While the British government was arming apartheid South Africa, it's also something that stands out, and I know Ian and Sarah will agree with it. Yeah, is that when we were watching, when he was running for leader, and at one of the hustings, I think it was a guy from Sky News said, like, what do you think about the headlines in the Sun? And Jeremy says, I don't buy the Sun, which is good for. So let's give Corbyn.
you so much. Thanks for inviting me. Took you away from that straight away. So, Ian and Sarah do an incredible job in leading the union. It's not the world's largest union and doesn't aspire to be the world's largest union. What it is what it says. The Bakers, Food and Allied Workers Union, representing people at the workplace in all the complexities of the food industry and doing it very, very well and fighting for their conditions. Winning recognition agreements, ending appalling practices like fire and rehire, and ending appalling practices like zero-hours contracts. And I absolutely salute them for the huge work they did in improving the conditions of people working at Hovis and many other places. And so this is a very, very good and very, very serious union. And I have here their magazine, which they very kindly send me every month, or every quarter when it comes out. And it's a really good magazine, because not only does it tell you some news about the union and what's going on, gives notes about the policies the union's following, key points of a branch secretary's survey in this one, very important section on international reports. There's nothing more international than the food industry, where our food comes from, where it's imported from, where it's exported to, or indeed the kinds of food that we eat and produce. And then there's some very good stuff in it about health and safety at the workplace and about your rights at work. Very good health and safety bulletin about mental health and the law, and empowers representatives at the workplace to be represented if they're going through stress and mental health conditions, be represented if they feel the machinery they're being told to use is dangerous, or they've been asked to work excessively long hours, thus putting themselves at risk, because food mixers can be very dangerous. Ovens can be very dangerous. Packing machinery can be very dangerous. Trucks and so on. I, in a former life, before I became an MP, was a union organiser of the National Union of Public Employees, organising school catering workers, hospital workers, street cleaners, and many others. And our work was as much about the safety at the workplace as anything else. And we made a very big difference by stopping management using dangerous cleaning materials and things like that. So being in a union gives you that protection, gives you that solidarity, and it means that if you're frightened of the machine safety that you're using, you put yourself at some personal risk if you're in a non-unionised firm by going to see your manager. You go and see your manager on your own and say, I think the machinery is dangerous. You might get lucky and you might have a manager who says, okay, look at it, I agree with you. Or you might have a manager who says, don't give me any grief, don't give me any trouble, otherwise you're going to be in trouble yourself. The difference is if you report to the union that you're concerned about safety, the union goes to the employer, the union represents you, the union takes the case up, the individual is not named in it. It is a collective grievance, not an individual grievance. The power of the union is the collective above the individual. And that's why I would urge everyone anywhere to join a union. And the Bakers Union is, to me, absolutely brilliant for what it does, how it represents people, and how it takes the causes forward. And also supports the political campaign, like the Right to Food campaign. Because we live in a really topsy-turvy society. Britain is the 5th richest country in the world. We have more food banks than branches of McDonald's. We have more food banks than DWP offices around the country. Trussell Trust alone, food banks, handed out 2 million special meals last year alone. And there are many people in work, in the NHS, in many other places, and in the food industry, yes, in the food industry, that have to access food banks or food co-ops just to be able to feed themselves. And this pandemic has turned millionaires into billionaires and billionaires into trillionaires. We have a government that is slashing the tax burden, as they choose to call it, on the very richest people and creating greater and greater inequality. We need unions. We need unions to represent us. We need unions to speak up and speak out, as they did yesterday on that massive march we held in London. The Bakers Union was very, very well represented there. So I'm very proud to support the campaign for union recognition, and the information that's been given out today at this meeting takes us to the heart of it, about why we need to organise in Samworth. But I also want to say a big thank you to our team at the Peace and Justice Project, particularly Artin, who's put so much work into all this, but also to Barry and to Peter, who are here today helping us with this, and the young man along there. The young man along there, who you'll get the message, has come here to celebrate Father's Day with me. And I'd also like to pay a great tribute and very warm welcome to my very good friend, Claudia Webb MP, for being here tonight. Claudia says it like it is, speaks out, and has done a huge amount to support grossly exploited garment workers in Leicester. And I've heard her speaking about it in Parliament, about the solidarity between garment workers in Bangladesh and here, in India and here, and many other countries, and the way in which the sweatshops have been mushrooming across this country, as we have a government that doesn't care about health and safety legislation, doesn't care about workers' rights. Well, we do, we will, and we will always support those workers' rights and support the right to organise. But you aren't going to change dangerous working conditions on your own. You're only going to do it collectively, which is why it's so very, very important to be part of the union. And so thank you to the Peace and Justice Project for the work that you put in, our team there, and thank you to the Bakers Union for what you put in. It's a great partnership, and we're very happy to be working with them. It's not a short-term thing. We're in this for the long haul. This might be a long campaign. We all know that. A journey of 1,000 miles, as somebody once said, begins with one step. Well, we're not on the first step today. We're probably on the 10th step today. But we've got that road to go down together. And that's why this meeting of the union, of the project, of councillors, of community activists, of the Indian Workers Association, and so many other people here today is a very important part of what we're trying to achieve. Now, I like to know that the food I'm buying and eating, personally, I prefer to grow my own food on my allotment, but it's not productive enough to feed me all the year round. So, like everybody else, I go to the store, I buy food. I want to know a number of things. One is that food is safe. I also want to know that the people that produced that food were treated properly, did have the right to join the trade union, weren't forced to work in dangerous conditions. And I want to know that because I am a caring citizen like all of us here. The greatest way, the best way of ensuring it's safe is that it's been produced by the union workers. And that's why so many people insist on fair trade products when they're buying stuff that's imported to this country. I think we should insist on the same thing on the food we buy, knowing it's been produced by union work in this country and processed in this country. It is also about representing young people and young workers, because I think within our society now, young people get a raw deal. They really do. Young people usually grow up assuming they're going to be better off than their parents' generation, because that has been the tradition down the centuries. And all of us as parents assume our children are going to have a better life than we had, and so on, cascading through the generations. And that for a long time was, roughly speaking, the case within our society. It's not anymore. Our children in school are over-tested, over-stressed, and the pandemic has made it worse, and there are many suffering from serious mental health stress as a result of it. If they manage to get to university or college, they're forced to pay a massive amount in fees and then have a debt thrown over their heads, which is with them for the rest of their lives. And this government has sold that debt to a private debt collecting company. It is brutal on young people who have the aspiration to get a decent education, which is why I was so proud to change the Labour Party's policy into one of abolishing all student fees. And it's also about good quality, fair apprenticeships. It's also about good quality wages, where the youth rate on minimum wage has been so grotesquely exploited, as has the apprentice rate as well. Fair, decent pay for all workers, whatever their age. In my experience, an 18-year-old eats as much, look at Tommy, more than adults. Their costs are just the same. You can't go into a shop and say, I'm an 18-year-old, can I have the 18-year-old rate for paying for bread? I said, what are you talking about? No, we need to pay people properly, and that's why the minimum wage was a step forward when it was introduced, but it needs to change. £15 an hour is something that there are other campaigns that the union's involved in. People say, well, the unions shouldn't be involved in politics. Hang on a minute, what? Everything we do in our lives is political. It's a political choice. It's not just who you vote for or why you vote for people. It's how you spend your life and how you live your life. And so the union is quite rightly supportive of the Right to Food campaign, which my good friend Ian Byrne MP from Liverpool has established and set up. But it's also about decent housing for people, because so many members of the union don't get access to council housing. I'm not blaming councils for this. I'm blaming government for this, for not allowing council to build the houses that are necessary. So they have to rent in the private rented sector. So they have an insecurity of tenure. So they're paying very high rents. So they can't save anything if they have the aspiration to buy, and they can't move on at all because their rents are so high. So we have this growing burden on young working class people of low wages, high rents, and if they've been to college or university, great debts as a result of that. Then they're told the best way going forward is to privatise our services, sell off bits and pieces of our National Health Service and local government service, and then you see what inequality is all about in this country. I am ashamed, absolutely ashamed, to be in a country, the 5th richest country in the world, where people still sleep rough on the streets at night because nobody has given them anywhere to live. The union at Samworth is going to be a struggle. Yeah, we all know that. Samworth is not a company that's losing money. Samworth is a very big company and a very big organisation. And if the owners of Samworth give the money away to charities and to others, fine, absolutely fine. But I say this, the most important thing is to treat your workers properly, to pay your workers properly, to give your workers the right to be represented at the place of work. It's there in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It's there in the statutes of the International Labour Organization as well. The golden thread of the history of the labour movement is workers who were grotesquely exploited on farms, in fields, in factories, in mills, on railways, and so many other places, combined together to form unions in order to protect their conditions and improve their standards of living. And it had obviously a hugely beneficial effect on the whole community. And that's why today's meeting includes Leicester and District Trades Council, and the trades councils are coming together of all unions in the city and the region in order to take up social causes as well as supporting people who are going through a dispute at the present time. So the Trades Council will be supporting the rail workers and absolutely supports this campaign to unionise Samworth. So I'm absolutely delighted to be here to support and endorse this campaign. And you know what? We're going to win it. We're going to get unionised. If anyone from Samworth is listening, having a union in the factory is not the end of the world. The sky will not fall in. An earthquake will not be targeted underneath each of the buildings. It will become a normality that your workers in this industry are fully represented and unionised. And you know what? Your management will behave better because there will be that automatic challenge if they do something wrong by effective union representation. Joining the union means you're part of the community of the workforce. Joining the union means you get the opportunity for training, for education, and you're part of a union that has a very big voice all over the country. And it's been my pleasure to work with the Bakers Union for a long time, and I'm personally very, very grateful for the friendship and support they've always given me on the good days, but even more importantly, on the bad days. So whenever things go wrong, and occasionally in life one has disappointments, I don't want to dwell on it, but occasionally there are a few disappointments. First person on the phone is him, Ian Hodson, saying, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine. What's your ringing for?" He said, "It's all right, just thought you were having a bad day." I said, "Yeah, I am actually, but how about you?" But it's that kind of one-to-one solidarity. Do you know what? When you're all in the same union together, you're all in the struggle together, that's what brings about change. And what I'm really impressed with, and I'll finish on this because I'm in danger of going on too long, it's a habit I've formed, is this leaflet is produced in lots of languages. And it points out that when we're working together, whether we come from India, from Bangladesh, from Romania, from France, from Lithuania, from Colombia, wherever we've come from, we need two things. One is to remember where we've come from and keep our culture, keep our language, keep our music, keep our food habits and all those other things. But we also need to be able to communicate with each other. And that's why this multilingual leaflet and the union providing people who can speak so many languages, Polish and so many others here today, shows the strength of the union in bringing forward good community relations. We defeat racism by our unity. We will never allow the fascists to the union will make sure there is absolutely no discrimination on the basis of race, of language, of ethnicity, disability, or if you're a woman and therefore you don't get the promotion that you would normally get if you'd been a man, because unfortunately there is a huge degree of discrimination. I'm very proud that the Bakers Union now has a woman General Secretary. So be a good cheer. We're going to win this campaign. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for those kind words there, Jeremy. But as I said, yeah, as important as we see down here, as important as, say, like Claudia and Ian, as important as they are, the really important people are you today. And we want to hear from you. We want to hear your questions. Yes, so if we can take 3 questions. Okay. That guy then. Yes, sir.
Mr. Sir, just now that spoke, right? He's worked all his life. Union, yes. I've worked in engineering all my life. You will remember Salim Malik, councillor, passed away last year. He was a good bloke. And he spoke for the people. And he fought for the people. That's the people we need in a union. Right? Do you agree or disagree? That's all I'm asking.
There's a statement, not a question, so 2 other people can still ask questions. Great to see the MPs here. Great to see councillors here. Great to see trade union manager here. Where on earth is our mayor?
Do you know, I can't, I wonder.
Yeah.
My thoughts exactly. Yeah. Where is Sir Peter? Sorry.
Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Nice to see you, Jeremy. I met you at the one of the East Midlands conferences, and you told me to stand for election, and I did in 2019, and now I'm So I studied politics and international relations, and one of the things that I found in my research is a lot of the problems we have is because the decisions are made in national government, and I'm a great supporter for devolution. Now, if we have devolution local, because the government make the decisions and it's like a one-size-fits-all, and we know that the Prime Minister is incompetent and his decisions do not reflect Leicester and Samworth Brothers and the garment workers. And I am a great champion for devolution, and I just wanted your opinion on that. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, a question on devolution. Yes, I think it's important that local authorities have more powers, particularly powers over inspection of the workplace and safety of the workplace, because at the moment their powers are actually relatively limited in that. We also have planning powers, but the planning powers are quite restricted around deciding the future of buildings solely on planning grounds, not necessarily the use of the building. So, for example, if a council wanted to oppose the opening of more betting shops, it's very difficult to do so because there has to be a planning ground not to have a betting shop. Whereas personally, I think there's a moral ground for not having a betting shop, and councils are not allowed to bring that into it. So devolution of powers to local government is, to me, very, very important, and also supporting municipal enterprise to run bus services, run energy companies, and so many other things, if that's what they choose to do. I think devolution is the right way forward. And what I proposed was the establishment of regional investment banks for the English economic regions, plus Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, which would be run by a combination of the local community within that area, as well as the local authorities in that area. And they would decide on the infrastructure investment in different parts of the country rather than central government. Important because the East Midlands is actually almost the lowest paid region in the whole of the UK. It also is the lowest level of central government expenditure of any region in the UK. Now, there are many reasons and explanations for that, but former mining communities still suffering from the effects of the closure of the mines, still suffering unemployment, underemployment, or low wages, or industries that have not replaced the mining industry with well-paid union jobs, They're sort of fly-by-night economies where people often disappear. So devolution to me is absolutely very, very important, and it's something that I will always campaign for. And I think having the support of our councillors here today is really valuable, and having the councillors and the council passing a strong motion which they will carry forward in support of the right of workers at Samworth to join the union is a big step forward. And actually, if the council thinks about it, it's good for them as well, because it will put them in better standing with the community in Leicester, who overwhelmingly think people should have a right to join a trade union. Thank you for your question. Oh no, he was waving in agreement.
I was waiting, yeah.
Hi, if you could indulge me for a couple of minutes. My name's Chris Willers, and I'm currently president of the Leicester and District Trade Union Council. You can see our logo on the Unionise Samworth Brothers banner there, and also our banner with the same logo on. As has been said, if workers join together in a trade union, they become strong. And if unions join together, then we're even stronger. And that's exactly what trades councils are for. And you can see on our banner that we were founded in 1872. So for those of you that are good at maths, we're 150 years old this year. Happy birthday to us. Okay, so we are a campaigning trades council. We're still joining trade unions up together and fighting campaigns. Unity is strength, and so the Trades Council is 100% behind this campaign. We will do whatever we can to support the Bakers Union and the Peace and Justice campaign to get members organised in Samworth Brothers. We hope that you'll all get involved in this campaign and in our other campaigns. So just some examples. Currently, we are supporting a campaign to get garment workers organised as well. We are supporting the local Fabel project, which you all need to find out more about. Tarek over here, have a word with Tarek. He's part of the Fabel project to provide advice and support for garment workers, and ultimately to get them organised in trade unions so they can support and help themselves. We're also organising a campaign to fight against the unjust workplace parking levy that's being imposed by the City Council. We also support workers in struggle, such as the DMU, UCU. There's been a raft of redundancies announced at the De Montfort University, and we will support them in their fight against those redundancies. And of course, the RMT locally. And if anyone from the RMT knows where the picket lines are going to be, we will take our banner and we will get people there in solidarity with the RMT. Okay, so I hope that everybody here is in a trade union. If you're not, join one, and make sure that your trade union is affiliated to the Trades Council and they send delegates so we can strengthen and improve the work that we do. Hopefully, we'll see you at our May Day celebrations and our Workers' Memorial Day event, or on a demonstration or a recruitment campaign, or on the picket line. Come and find the banner, find me, say hello, and join together. Solidarity.
Right. Oh, sorry.
Chairman, when will you ditch the Labour Party and have your own party?
Thanks for your question. Thanks for the support. I'm very proud to be the MP for Islington North, and I want to carry on being the MP for Islington North. I'm very proud to work with so many good organisations and comrades that are here today. In my view, the Labour movement is a movement of people that believe in socialism and social justice and trade union rights and trade union organisation. And without going into any arcane details of anything else, I would just say this. My solidarity is always with the working class movements of this country. And that was where my solidarity always was.
All right. Well, we're going to end it there. Yeah, I'd like to thank.
There's tea for everybody, I believe.
Yeah, there will be tea for everybody. I'd like. All right,
There's always an awkward one, and who wants coffee?
all right. Get your coffee. Funny one, ain't you? They always ask me one awkward one here, don't they? Yeah. All right. But I'd like to
In
thank.
case of all taste, it's okay.
But I'd like to thank Sarah. I'd like to thank Jeremy. I'd like to thank Sital. I'd like to thank Kumaran. I'd like to thank Gary. Thank you very much. You've been inspiring. But I want to thank all the people who's put this together, especially Artin, George Atwell, of course. Thank you to all the people who've given their time. I'd like to thank especially Adriana and Nikolai. You know, come next door, have a cup of coffee if you want. A cup of coffee, you see that, mate? Or tea. But come next door, talk about us, talk to us, just see what a trade union can do for you. Thank you very much.
And can we give a big round of applause to Dougie for sharing the session?
Thank you very much. And yeah, thank you very much, Dougie.